Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Hell Stitch launch party. Um, Sorry about the horrible picture quality. Sorry about my ugly face. I'm going to read a very short excerpt from the book, and then I'll get out of your way, and we'll get on with the fun stuff, the quiz, the freebies, and your bit of music and so forth. This is an extract from Hell Stitch. It's Helen and a young guy called Danny have entered a part of Manchester called Deadsbury. Anybody who actually lives in Manchester will be able to be able to guess where Deadsbury actually is. As the name suggests, it is now a dead area. Nobody lives there except for one person, a creature called the Grendel Wolf, and they're trying to find him to enlist his help. Only trouble is, he kills anybody who trespasses on his territory, and they've been followed by Major Kirkwood and his squad of Reapers, who are out to kill them and have them pinned down in an abandoned office. That's where we basically join them. Helen ran to the doorway and crouched, aiming the revolver at the stairs. Danny moved to her side with the Lanchester, but no one came up. Helen picked up the dead man's rifle. "Move in!" a voice shouted outside, and someone screamed. Someone else let out a short, choked cry. Then nothing, just the wind blowing down Wilmslow Road. "The fuck?" Danny whispered. His palms were sweating. He dried them on his trousers. There was no more shooting. A piece of splintered glass dangled from the window frame, fell and smashed with a tinkle on the floor. Helen inched towards the window. Danny followed. Outside, someone called, "Colborne? Colborne?" Across the street, Kirkwood moved back from the window of the ruined shop. There was a tremor in his arms, a shake in his hands. No, he wasn't shaking. That implied fear. He wasn't afraid. He was on edge, in the zone. "Colborne!" No answer. Only silence and the keening winter wind. A noise outside. Something gritting underfoot. Kirkwood rose, shouldered his rifle. It was a Reaper officer, by God. Fought worse enemies than that damned woman. Faced worse odds. What was there to fear? He couldn't see anything or hear anything. Was he afraid of silence? Except there shouldn't have been silence. There should have been shots and running feet. His men should be obeying his bloody orders. Kirkwood started forwards. There was nothing out there. And if there was, he'd face it. By God, he'd face it, whether it was Helen or... No, he wouldn't say it, not even to himself. He feared nothing. He was a Reaper officer. "Colborne!" He was almost at the shop's doorway now. Something huge and dark filled the shattered doorframe. Before he could react, it had seized the barrel of his rifle and plucked it from his grasp. "O Spartan dog," it said in a rumble of thunder, the growl of a hungry beast, the grating of stone, more fell than anguish, hunger, or the sea. "Colborne!" Kirkwood backed away, fumbling for the Browning at his belt. "Where the hell are you?" "Dead," said the dark thing, tossing the rifle with a clatter to the cracked pavement outside. Kirkwood stumbled backward. Someone was whimpering. No, it wasn't him. Couldn't be him. His legs were wet. Oh, God, no. Not that. Not in the face of the enemy. The communicator at his belt crackled. "Kirkwood," it said. "Major Kirkwood, report." The dark thing stepped through the doorway, feet crunching in broken glass. Kirkwood backed away. "And so," said the dark thing, "are you." More screams from outside. They couldn't have lasted more than a few seconds, but it felt like longer. "The fuck was that?" Danny whispered. Helen swallowed. "Someone dying." "I know that!" He was white. "What the fuck of?" "I'm guessing it wasn't old age." "Oh, fuck!" Helen went to the window, keeping low, just in case. She had a fairly good idea what she'd see, but she wasn't taking chances. She'd fucked up twice today already. Stupid elementary errors that could have killed them both. It shook her to think she could have made them. And she was planning to lead a new rebellion? Christ, she'd be kinder shooting her own people. It'd be quicker, no torture at least. No one shot at her. She surveyed the street. 4 bodies lay in it, all in black Reaper uniforms. A Reaper helmet lay in the gutter. Her stomach rolled. The helmet wasn't empty. The wind whistled, keened, and moaned. Danny moved to her side. "Fuck me," he whispered. "Yeah. What now?" "2 choices." "What are they?" "We stay here and wait for him to come to us." "What's the other?" "We go out there and look for him." "Are you mad?" "It's why we're here, Danny. It's why you're here." "I know." Danny rubbed his mouth. "Well, not like you're twisting the arm or out. I volunteered. Don't suppose we could just try tiptoeing out?" "He knows we're here, Danny, and this is his territory." "How far do you think we'd get?" The stairs creaked. They stared at them, but nothing happened. Danny released a long sigh. "Fuck it. Let's get it over with then." "Okay." Christ, what had she been thinking? "Let's go." They walked out onto the shattered landing. Half the ceiling had come down, broken plaster scattered on the carpet. It crunched underfoot. One dead Reaper on the stairs, another at the bottom. They stepped over them both, went to the shattered front door. "Danny?" "Yeah." "You did a good job." "I'm sorry." Despite it all, he flushed. More pride than embarrassment, she hoped. They walked through the devastated shop front and out onto the street. There was blood on the road. It clung to her boots. A rifle lay on the pavement outside the shop front opposite. A thin, cold, tinny voice echoed from inside. "Kirkwood! Major Kirkwood, report!" What voice? She knew it. "Alan?" "What's a Grendel wolf look like?" "Tall. Built like a brick shithouse. Very pale. They had weird eyes. Yellow." She peered inside. An arm lay severed on the floor. Further back, something else that glistened. There were glints of white bone. They could see in the dark. Another thing that made them so dangerous. "Long black hair? Long black coat?" "No, tended to wear military uniform." She could see what had been done to the last of the Reapers now. It was hard to look away, even though she wanted to. "Why?" "'Cause that's what this bloke here looks like." "That's not for—" "Good afternoon." Helen yelped, spun around, raised the gun. The voice wasn't Danny's. It was deep and rich, low and sepulchral. It rumbled like thunder. He stood outside the shop they'd just emerged from. He must have stood 6'6" in height, with shoulders to match. Yes, he had those yellow eyes. She thought of a wolf she'd once seen in an old film. Grace and beauty mixed with something pitiless and terrible. "I have that effect on women," he said, smiling. Black trousers, black boots, black sweater, a long black coat. Black hair, too, very long and very fine, blown easily about his face in the wind. Her mouth was dry, her stomach clenched. The gun was at her shoulder. "We don't mean you any harm," she said at last. He chuckled. His teeth were very white. "I'm sorry. That's the funniest thing I've heard in some time." The smile faded. "By the way, if you want to live, point that gun somewhere else." Danny had already put down the Lanchester. Helen laid down the rifle. "Oh no, you can hold on to it if you want. It's about as dangerous to me as a dead cat. I just don't like them being pointed at me. It's impolite." He stepped off the pavement and took a few steps towards her, muscled but lean like a black river flowing. Danny backed away, drew close to her. The pale eyes held her and seemed to grow till they were all that she could see. "My name is Sheridan Scholl. You've been looking for me, and now you've found me. Perhaps you'd like to tell me why, before I eat your hearts."